Hi guys, this is Gadget Man 404 and today I'm doing a do's and don'ts video. Now I'm using my son's camera. I don't know if you can see the wind blowing those hedges over there. I'm doing manual focus with his camera and it's a bit windier than I would normally fly, so for that reason I'm not going to. And in my early days of flying, I would have gone to fly in any weather. If it was windy or not, it wouldn't have bothered me. But now I've learnt over the years that flying in wind is not a good idea. So, do's and don'ts. I think it's safe to say if the wind is over 10 miles an hour, don't fly. You've also got to take into account, if you do want to fly, it's up to you, but if you do want to fly, you've got to take into account the direction of the wind. So if you're flying into the wind, that's going to drain your battery. But if you're not going far, when you do return to home or manually fly back, then the wind will be behind you. But what about if the wind is from the sides and if it's gusting? So that means the direction can change while you're flying, which isn't good for you, because while you take off it might be facing one way and then half a mile away the wind could be completely different where you are now, and then when you come back the wind could be facing you all the way over 3/4 of a mile, half a mile or whatever. And when you've only got like a 3000 milliamp hour battery, a 3S, you roughly get 10 minutes. And in wind you're going to use more energy than if you are just flying on a calm day. So you have to take all these factors really come into play when you are doing a flight. You need to take into account wind speed, wind direction, temperature. That's another one. Batteries, LiPo batteries don't like cold weather, so some people put them in a box with hand warmers or put them in gloves with hand warmers and all that kind of thing. But an average battery for me on my 3X is the biggest I use at the moment is a 3000. Well, I've got a 3300, but you have to take into account the bigger the battery capacity, i.e. go from a 3000 to a 5400, you're gonna have quite a lot of weight increase. So yeah, you've got a bigger capacity battery, nearly twice as big as what you started with, but you've also nearly got double the weight. So in fact, you're not going to gain that much flight time because of the weight issue. So wind direction, weather, the weight of the battery, the wind direction, all these factors play a big part in if you should or shouldn't fly. Now today, I would have gone flying. 2 years ago I'd have gone flying and not thought anything about it, but over those 2 years I've had a few crashes. I don't know if you can see those leaves swirling. I'll just sort of zoom in manually over here, and every now and again you'll see the direction of the leaves change because the wind direction is changing. So I'm just going to leave that like that for now, and hopefully you'll catch it in the next few seconds or minute or whatever while I'm talking. So yeah, as I was saying, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I'd have gone out in any weather apart from rain with my quadcopters. I've flown in thick snow, so obviously the batteries would have been cold. I've flown in high winds, I've flown in gusting winds, you name it, I've done it. And I have been lucky enough that I haven't had any major problems, i.e. no big crashes, breaking arms off quadcopters and all that type of thing. I've been very lucky over the 4 years I've been flying, and I've found a few things on the marketplace over the last few months that are really helping me with planning my flights. One of the things is I've got, I call it a windometer. I don't think it's actually a I don't think that's the official term for it, but I call it that. And also a battery voltage checker or a battery capacity checker. They're two things I always carry with me now with any of the quads I use, because I've got quite a few. The toy grade ones will be no good in winds above 5 miles an hour because they've predominantly got brushed motors which are geared, and they're just not made to fly against high winds really. You have to just take your time, and you won't really gain any distance if you're flying into the wind. If you're flying downwind, then yeah, you'll get some distance, but if you're flying into the wind, then no, you're not really going to get very far. So, and weight issue, if you're flying a heavy quad with a gimbal and a camera set up and it's a windy day, then you pretty much reduce your flight time straight away. So going from a 10-minute flight with strong winds, heavy battery, gimbal, camera, you're looking at 6, maybe 7 minutes. And gusting winds, again, I would really think twice about gusting wind flights, because while you're taking off it's in one direction, and when you go some distance it'll be in a completely different direction, which isn't going to be any good, especially if when you're flying home on a weakened battery with a high or heavy payload into the wind, you will not get home, because the battery is going to spend a lot of its energy carrying, 1, the extra weight, and 2, fighting the wind. So unless you've got these super duper quads like these octocopters that can carry 5 pounds of weight, then a standard Phantom, even a Mavic, those type of quads, I think in high winds, and I mean high winds, 20 mile an hour plus, I think you would struggle to get back if you're flying a few miles away, which people like to fly a good 1,000 metres. My 3X can go over 1,000 metres, and I like to fly it to the range of what it can do, because what is the point in flying something 2 feet in front of you? I don't see the point of that at all. I like to get my shots, and I like to fly far away. So I've never been one to fly close. I'm just going to go up to the sky, and you can see the clouds are moving quite fast. So that again is saying that the wind outside is very, very high speed, which is not a good idea when you want to fly. So try and avoid flying in windy conditions. Gusting winds, I would think twice about that, just because you don't know what the wind direction is going to be like when you are there. Someone is ringing me from the vets, so I will finish this, and I say thanks for subscribing, continue to subscribe, watch my stuff, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Gadget Man 404 out.